Buenas tardes, mi gente. Gracias por acompañarnos. Thank you for tuning in. Today I'm very excited because I'm going to be sharing my company, Monique Hoffman. She's going to be talking to us about life and health insurance. She's a health and life insurance broker. Please help me welcome Monique Hoffman.
Hi.
Hello, Monique. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm very good. Thank you for stopping by and coming over to my space.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to hear everything you have to share about life or health insurance, and especially for all those people that are receiving Medicare. This is an excellent show to listen to because with all open enrollment and updates or rules and regulations that are always being updated, it's always good to know what is new with the Medicare program and the life and health insurance with a broker from Monique. So, Monique, tell us a little bit about you.
Where do I start? So I am located in Chicago, Illinois, but I serve as a health and life insurance broker, as you mentioned. I serve 13 states around the country and counting. And, anytime I have an opportunity, somebody knows somebody, I might pick up a new state, if there's an opportunity to do business there. So, so I'm very passionate about what I do. I'm very passionate about healthcare and health insurance and making it work for people because Lord knows it's not perfect. And a lot of people just don't have the right information or any information for that matter. So I just kind of want to download what I have and use it to help other people in this space because health is all we've got.
You're right about that. And how is somebody, for example, someone like me, that I'm probably at the age of start thinking about health insurance, other than the one that's been provided to me through my former employment, right? And if I were to look into some kind of the Medicare program, what is covered for me, how do I go about that? Learn what kind of health insurance work best with Medicare?
Well, Medicare itself is insurance coverage. It's just a matter of how much coverage and how much you want to pay out of pocket. Most people who are on Medicare have a budget that they stick to. And so they need to be able to know like how much they could potentially spend in 1 year or for a doctor's visit or if they become hospitalized. I mean, that's like any health insurance really, but I do know that Medicare beneficiaries are on a more strict budget. So, just need to contact an insurance agent. I serve people who are under 65 as well as over 65. So sometimes there's, we need to bridge you to Medicare with some sort of, short-term insurance in the meantime. And, it's just, I have to know more about your lifestyle and what your needs are, and then I can help.
So how someone approach someone like you? Like how you make your services known? Like for people to know about you, like not everybody knows about actually that there is a broker for health and life insurance. So they're like people think, oh, I got to buy health insurance for the insurance for the house, for the car, but they
Yeah.
don't actually think of health as an insurance, like a life insurance. This is what I thought it was pretty interesting when I saw what you do.
Yeah, well, it's funny because depending on who you talk to, people either know of insurance agents and say there are so many, like there are too many, or some people say, I didn't know. And it's funny that you bring that up because for the first time in my insurance career, I just had someone compare health and life insurance to buying car insurance. Like, why can I not just go online, put in my, two pieces of information and the computer generates a quote for me? And I said, and my response was that you're not a car. You're a human being who has different needs than your neighbor. And a really good insurance agent will make sure that, it's working for you and your lifestyle and your needs and not just, giving you a quote. It's not a one size fits all thing. So I I work primarily on referrals, but I have been online on social media and doing social media marketing for quite some time, just as a person, as a professional. So I don't push my message that I'm a broker, I'm a broker, I'm a broker. I mean, people do business with me because of me, and I just so happen to sell insurance.
Right. No, and for example, like I would have never thought, for me, the broker word has to do with commodities.
Yes.
So I never thought of like a broker for health insurance.
Hmm.
So when I learned about what you did, I said, just this is very interesting. Because imagine me that I do public health. That's kind of like my
Yeah.
training background. And here I am. I used to work for the community on the time when I used to help people, help them with sign up for Medicare, Medicaid, and open enrollment and keep them
Yeah.
up to date with the different health plans that were available. But that was years ago. All that stuff changes continuously. So at the time that I was doing that, early on, maybe mid 90s and early 2000, that word broker was not in the lingo of the health insurance. So I thought that was really kind of interesting. And I said, well, I got
Well,
to bring you so she can tell us a little bit more about how these broker business work with health insurance and life insurance.
yeah. So, I mean, a lot of the times, and brand recognition is important. So, for some people, like in Illinois, people love Blue Cross Blue Shield. If you don't sell them blue or offer it to them, they get really weird about it. And that's because Blue Cross has a huge presence here. They have a building with a giant sign on it. They sponsor a lot of things. They've paid in a lot of marketing to say we are Illinois' like go-to plan or provider. And they're not the only ones. And it's everything is sort of marketing, and it's sad to say, but we have been programmed to allow marketing to tell us how to buy, how to purchase things, how to feel, how to believe. I mean, we're in the middle of an election right now that was hugely determined on social media and media and a lot of marketing, and more so like how these things make people feel as opposed to um, what is the policy, like what are these things, these people really going to do, what is Blue Cross really going to do for you, other than just have a popular name and a popular presence in Illinois. So being a broker, I'm not attached to just one company. I have access to many, as many as I want to contract with to provide my clients with options.
That's awesome. I wish I would have known you a few weeks ago, or no more than a few weeks ago. I think it was back in February. I came down sick. Early on with this COVID-19 was coming on, I had a really bad upper respiratory
Mm-hmm.
condition. They didn't think it was COVID. I was tested, thanks God for that. But it really hit me really hard this time. I was like 10 weeks sick. And because I use doctors out of my network, I was based out of New York. Now I'm in Massachusetts. I have the insurance that I was provided to me through my time in my career with government, right? So when I used the out of network, guess what? It was like the bill money. I was like, oh, that's not cool. We're talking 1,100 up just to, the copay, the
Mm-hmm.
visit, the specialist that saw me. When we got the bill, I almost like, I dropped like, what is this? And that's when somebody kind of mentioned, well, you might want to get like a secondary
Mm-hmm.
insurance, something like that. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah, a lot of people
learn
don't
about
know.
that actually.
A lot of people don't know about, they're actually called fixed benefit plans. And what
Mhm.
the fixed benefit plans, it's kind of like if you go to a restaurant and you see a menu. So you see, here are all the side dishes. All the side dishes are $3 to $4 a piece. The main dishes are $10 to $16 a piece. So fixed benefit is something that's going to help you pay out-of-pocket costs that sort of complement your insurance plan. Now, it can help you pay out of pocket costs. Sometimes it has the premium of an insurance plan. So it can be kind of pricey, but it really just all depends on how much you need it. If you go once in a blue moon, you don't need the most expensive fixed benefit plan. But a lot of people don't realize that supplements and fixed benefit plans are there to help pay your out-of-pocket costs. At the end of the day, it all works itself out. So you have the option of fronting 1,000, 5,000, 10,000, or you could be paying these, and what we call ancillary policies that help
Policy.
pay things for
Say
you.
that word again. I'm sorry.
Ancillary.
Ancillary policy. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's like supplemental policies that are not necessarily meant to be by themselves, but they can complement what you already have.
So basically, they take in consideration your income, right? Any kind of other insurance. Oh no, interesting.
Well, not not on the individual market. I can't
Yeah.
speak for Aflac. Aflac is probably the most common supplemental policy that you can get. They do spend a lot in marketing, but there are really great ones. Like I provide supplemental policies with almost every single medical policy that I write, because most people don't have the amount of money to just drop $5,000 or $10,000, if something big happens to them. So one of my most popular supplemental policies will pay your deductible for you if you have a critical illness, like if you get a heart attack or stroke or cancer. What if you have like an accidental medical expense, like you break your arm or your leg? Or maybe you get hospitalized for a short time, like COVID, heaven forbid. I mean, it's a lot of people have had that. And so if any of those things, life events happen, the supplement will trigger a life event and pay your deductible for you. And sometimes it's as little as like $50 a month for something that's going to dish out up to 5,000 or more for you.
No. So is there anything like that you have to disclose a lot about any kind of pre-existing condition with this health insurance?
Well, health insurance is different from the supplemental policies. The supplements are really there. And, there are some base.
Insurance don't cover. Okay.
Yeah. So even if you had insurance through your employer, but you wanted to pay for additional costs, I mean, we can set you up with a supplemental plan as well. So I don't, it doesn't mean that you have to have everything through me. You could have just a portion of it.
No.
Some employer plans are still kind of pricey.
Yes.
Obviously.
Now, like it's like that. How that works? Let me ask you. I'm not sure you know anything about this, but how does it work with any individuals that are receive, or like for example, a subsidized kind of plan, not through income like the Obamacare?
Mm-hmm.
How is that interface with those kind of health insurance?
So if you have, say, Obamacare, that is your main medical plan. So, but Obamacare has crazy out-of-pocket costs. I mean, the deductibles are so high.
They're very high. Okay.
They're very high, and they're very restrictive. Actually, most Obamacare plans, they kind of keep you in a county. Like you can't even leave your county without being out of network, let alone the state. It used to be a statewide thing, and now it's like, oh, if you have Obamacare, like here in Illinois, you have to go to county hospitals and see county doctors. You can't go to Northwestern and Rush, which are the biggest and most popular. They're like our Mayo Clinic of Illinois. They're where all the well-respected doctors go. You can't do that if you have Obamacare. And, sometimes you might have to pay $10,000 before, the insurance will kick in anything.
Yes. You just said something very keyword here with that Obamacare and the expenses out of your pocket from out of network, and some other challenges this subsidized health insurance has. And when you were saying that, I could just see behind the background me, the medical industry, the pharmaceutical industry, the powers that may be. They're very strong lobbying groups. So when all these, whatever subsidized plans are being introduced into government, say health insurance, any kind of government assisted program, if there is a profit to be had by any kind of private world, the corporations, like in here will be the medical industry. They're the ones that are actually have the influence for this scenario that you're just talking. Like this health insurance was designed for people with low income, or perhaps that their employers don't provide health insurance, and yet those industry got their claws in this policy making, which make this plan so difficult sometimes. Like at the out of network, the subsidy house, you say, like the costs are out of pockets are so high. If you're working a low income job, you gotta buy this insurance, and then you can have all those costs out of pocket. It's like, how's that work? It's like they need to restructure that whole program to make it more affordable, I'll say,
Well, I mean, and this is actually a subject that I'm very passionate about. This is something that a lot of people, a lot of people have the idea, just like what you said, that it's the healthcare industry. But I want to take a second to have people understand how group insurance works, because Obamacare.
Good to educate, because look at what I just said, coming from that.
Well,
I'm it's great.
Well, because it's open enrollment now, I'm actually, I actually am about to launch a video of why I entered this business and how the Affordable Care Act actually was the unaffordable option for me. And it put me in a ton of debt and actually changed my life in a million different ways. And then actually prompted me to become an insurance broker to save people from what I went through.
Wow.
So that video is coming out. With the election, I was like, I need to figure out when I'm going to put it out there. I don't want it to drown. But the thing that is important to note is that with Obamacare, it's essentially a group plan. So whether you have group insurance through your employer or you have Obamacare, in order for a group to work, it has to have the majority of the people in the group have to be healthy. And you have to have like a minimum amount of unhealthy people. Okay, but the problem is the cost of Obamacare, like to have it in premiums and whatnot, is so high that healthy people are like, I'd rather go uninsured instead of paying your astronomical prices. So what happens is Obamacare got even more expensive because who was left? It was the unhealthy people that were left. So who's going to pay for the unhealthy people? That's anybody that says, I'm gonna buy into Obamacare. You're gonna pay for all the sick people. That's how it works. So, and not to get political, but
that's a great explanation, Monique. Honestly,
thank you.
That's great.
Well, but this is where I'm about to get political, but not get political.
Don't worry about it. We're not killing anybody in this show.
So so many people despise Trump and say, you want to get rid of Obamacare, but the thing was, it was never affordable. I mean, it says it in the name, Affordable Care Act. It hasn't been affordable since after the third year when the government stopped propping it up. Because actually, in the beginning, it was amazing because the government actually pushed extra money in there, which encouraged some of the best providers and hospitals to stay in the network. After the government was like, okay, we're done with the training wheels, let's take them off, that's when it fell apart. And so it's not that Trump doesn't want to take care of people, it's that also having something very expensive also does not take care of people, because you could become bankrupt trying to solve your problems. You can lose your house just trying to get a diagnosis using Obamacare. I mean, that's literally, my story is very close to those examples. So, in his first term, what President Trump was trying to do was fix the cost of things on the back end before implementing a plan that would take over the Affordable Care Act. So he was trying to do what you're saying, like the powers that be. He was trying to negotiate and have those rates lowered and dropped and be fair before implementing a plan, because you can put in a plan, but if the cost of everything still remains the same, it's not going to work.
No. Yeah, and that's the interesting part, because that's the part that we, the people, for the people, by the people, don't understand. That even before a policy or initiative is presented and it gets into the legislative body, the lobbying group, they're there working with the people that are crafting the policies and the legislature. So if people don't get a little bit more involved in the government, well, they're not able to express their voice, their concern, because as you were sharing that, Moni, I kept saying, okay, so who is in the room making sure that there's a balance? that if they're going to have this affordable care for the people, especially for the ones that are working part-time jobs that they don't get full-time employment and they're buying this health insurance because they need it, how could they make it for those people that they're making $12 an hour, $8 an hour, $7 an hour? They're going to be able to afford an insurance that is compatible with the cost of living and what their with their income, like how much they're making. It just doesn't make sense. It's crazy. And you're
Well,
right. And the people don't want to go use it. And then the people that are using it because they're sick, they're depleting whatever is the funds that they have for these collective insurance. I call it insurance machine, whatever it works. I'm not too savvy about it, obviously. But it's interesting. I'm always saying, but who's the person in the room that can say, let's be fair? We understand that we have an interest in profit making, but we also got to make the wheel turn so we can get the profit making.
well, I think there's another plate at the table that you're not mentioning, which is what about our personal responsibility to keep ourselves as healthy as
Oh,
possible?
that's true. That's another one. I remember, Monique, when I was in that's you absolutely right. You nailed that in the head because they go one on one. We cannot live without health, and health only is like, hello, what is my
Yeah,
brand? Health is you.
yeah.
For that. So people need to take that personal responsibility. But let me tell you something really quick. When I was going to school for public health, it was early 90s, right? So I was young. And I remember, I think it was in my second or third year taking classes at the third level for public health. One professor that we had telling us, take a look at all of you students that we were into the public health. He's saying 15 years, this profession is going to be gone. And we were like, so then why should I go for public health if it's telling us that the schooling is not going to be, the title is not going to serve us any for work purposes. And the way that he said was that the health education and promotion, it was going to go to pretty much like public health nurses. And they did that. And they went there for 15, 20 years. And that's when we started developing the obesity in the United States, when all those health and human services programs that promoted health education, health promotion, they were taken away. So now we're trying to reverse that trend. But you're right, it's the health education piece, trying to keep this generation healthy about your health, that you are responsible for your health. No one is going to give you health. So yes,
Well,
Miss Monique Hoffman, you're right about that.
well, I feel like, even if we had something that covered everybody because it's a right, or, covered everything, which it will never. I mean, a lot of people don't even realize Medicare does not cover everything. Everybody thinks that I'm 65, I deserve it at this point, and everything is going to be covered. That actually is not how it works. And when I studied Medicare, because I have to certify every year, that's actually when I decided that, I mean, I didn't really like the idea of Medicare for all in the beginning, but when I learned about Medicare, I was like, oh, this isn't good. This is not what we want. So let me ask you a question. With all your years in public health, are
Yes.
you aware that everything is negotiable?
I did not know that. Thank you very much. Absolutely not.
Including that thousand
Bill. No,
including that $1,000 bill that you got for
no. Oops. I already paid it. So
well,
no.
so here's the thing. Everything, have you ever negotiated anything? You know that you have to start high, and then the other person gets closer, and then you get closer and you get closer. That's actually why the prices get so crazy high, because it wherever the negotiations are, landing, that becomes the average price for that claim or that procedure or whatever. So, but if the insurance companies start out high, they never end up there. They never get what they actually want. They get somewhere, pretty low, but they want to just try. It's like a test of endurance. So when you get a bill, the first bill you get is going to be like the highest that they're going to charge you for it, but it's not the lowest that they'll take.
Thank you.
It's not the lowest that they'll take. So
Oh,
part of the way I serve my clients is not only in, educating, it's also how do we prevent a high bill in the very beginning? Like how can we be aware of what these bills could possibly be before we even get into a mess? Because the thing that we do is we go to the doctor and we cross our fingers and like check the mail every day and go, I don't even want to get the mail because I don't know what's going to come in. Right.
exactly.
My clients do not get surprised or do not dread checking the mail because they know what's coming. Because I would rather them say, hey, they're agreeing to that $1,000 because they negotiated it or I negotiated or whatever, and they know that that's coming, and so it doesn't cause anxiety by even just checking the mail. And President Trump even got rid of, or he worked really hard to eliminate surprise billing, because what used to happen is, like, say you have a bill of 5,000, they come to your insurance company and the insurance company only pays 800. Before, it's called balance billing, before the insurance company or the provider can go to you, and I just switch those around. If your provider charges 5,000 and your insurance company pays 800, the provider can go back to you for balance billing and charge you $4,200.
Oh, wow.
But then why do you have insurance at that point, right?
Right.
So President Trump eliminated the ability to have surprise billing.
Oh, I did not know that. So you just said something that just blew me away. Imagine. Public health did not know that. So how does someone like me, for example, that received that bill, I almost dropped it. Like, so what? How do I go about it? How can we lower? How you begin the negotiation process in getting a lower in the bill, like a discount? You say you're a senior.
It's an art form. It's an art form, Yvonne, and it takes a
an
ton
art
of time.
form.
Yes.
An art form.
It
Can you tell
takes
us a bit about that?
If I did, I'd have to. No, I'm just kidding. It takes a lot of time and patience, and you have to be respectful and courteous to the people on the other side of the phone. But sometimes you have to call about 15 times on the same bill, and sometimes. So let's go back to how these bills come about. I actually used to be a medical transcriptionist.
Oh, wow.
So what happens when you go to the doctor sometimes they're not even paying attention to you, they're just listening to you and they're typing away, right? They're typing what's going on. But back in the day, they used to speak into a recording device, and the recording device would go to someone like me, a medical transcriptionist, who now has carpal tunnel from typing so much. But we would create an actual standard of a doctor's note, and that doctor's note then goes to a third-party billing company. So now you are so far removed from the doctor and the doctor's office, you're at a third-party billing company. The billing specialist, their only job is to look at that doctor's note and create billing codes create billing codes for the things that they see on the doctor's note.
Look at that.
And sometimes, like, if the doctor puts in there, like, oh, you were there to, have you ever gone to a doctor and you're like, well, I'm gonna pay a copay, so now I'm gonna bring a Post-it just to remind myself of all these other things I want to talk to my doctor about while I'm there. Well, all of those things, if the doctor writes them down, those get billing codes attached to them.
Oh.
Because you talk to the doctor about it. So
it makes sense. It makes sense.
right. So
I had about that bill. I'm like, what is this? What is this? What is that?
Yeah, and so that that third-party billing company doesn't know that you were just casually talking to your doctor. They received a doctor's note that said you talked about XYZ. Well, that also is attached to a code, that is attached to a dollar amount, that is attached to, it goes to your insurance, and they're like, I'm not paying for her crazy questions. And then you get a bill for the difference.
Wow. So you just kind of like, wow. You just reveal really, really good strategies that if there's something that is minimal, just look it up in Google before you go to your doctor, because it's something that you can actually, oh, well, if it's this is all right, go for the serious thing, because if they're coding every innocent question and concern that you have, wow, that's
Well,
interesting, Money. I
it
did not know that.
and it also goes in your record. So say you're shopping for life insurance. If
Mm,
you've ever said, I have a, you were there again for a doctor to look at a mole on your shoulder, and you're like, and he's like, is everything else at home good? And you're like, I have trouble sleeping. Okay, well, that doctor is going to be like, well, why don't we check you for sleep apnea? Let's
yeah.
just say you then go to apply for life insurance. It now says that you're being you're in the midst of being diagnosed for sleep apnea, and you could automatically be declined for life insurance if you're diagnosed for sleep apnea or trying to or whatnot. It's like, and you want to be able to be open and honest with your doctor, but I also think that if we are open and honest with ourselves, like, okay, I'm not sleeping well. What have I done? Have I been drinking too much coffee? Have I not been going to the gym and exerting enough energy? What have I not done, or what have I been doing that's contributing to sleep? Like, let's just think about that before I go to the doctor who's
Wow.
going to try and prescribe, like, see if I have cancer because I can't sleep. I mean, you just can't do that.
Monique, it almost sounds like we got to have almost like a disclaimer before we go to the doctor. Say, I want to ask you about the sleep, but I want to make sure that I'm not going to be billed. This is just like exploratory question. Tell me yes or no really quick, like look it up in Google or WebMD. I don't want to be charged. That's
Well,
crazy. It's a little scary because people got to really be informed so they can make the decisions that matter to them when it comes to their health. I mean, I have no idea. But it's funny, when I was studying that bill, there were some things that I didn't recognize. And I did call and spoke to them, but I didn't know about the bargaining the price. I would have started bargaining. But hey, lower it down. What do you think? It's like going to buy a car almost. It's crazy.
well, you're like, look, I mean, I went into the doctor for XYZ. I didn't expect it to be this much. The also is that every claim, sometimes, well, not every, there are many claims that have multiple codes. So for the same thing, there could be multiple codes, and the insurance company might take one over the other. So sometimes you can go back and have them change the code. It's the exact same thing, but the insurance will take that code and not the original one that was sent in. And it's that's what I'm saying, like, it's an art form. So those are the types of negotiating things, like, is there another code for this that we can try billing the
Right.
insurance company for, that they might take it. Now, I understand that some people who are listening to this might say, well, this is exactly why we need Medicare for all, and this is exactly why we need people or the insurance companies to pay for everything. That's why we need universal health care. Well, at the end of the day, if you have universal health care, you lose your ability to have say over your care and treatment. So if I'm going to pay everything for you, do you think that you're going to be able to say, I want to go to the top doctors and the top hospitals, and I want the best medication and the best testing? No, because they have a bottom line too.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, this is kind of where we're at. Things are negotiable. Things are a little crazy. You can get expensive bills, but just breathe and work through them. And at the end of the day, having the government pay for everything for you is not a good idea, because that's how we got into the Obamacare mess. And that's how I lost some of my organs at 24 years old, because it completely changed the way the doctors treated me, because the plan I paid into paid them differently. So why are they going to give me like the most cutting edge testing and treatments? They're more likely to like guess their way through my diagnosis, and that's kind of what happened.
Wow. Wow. And you're young. So when you say that, I'm looking at you and I say, what, she was 5 years old?
Oh, thank you.
25. I always say that after we pass 50, anything below me, everything looks much younger. So I'm not in good time. But Monique, if you don't mind, I'm going to switch in Spanish really quick, because you
Yeah.
said very important things that I would like to share with mi gente. If anyone watch this talk later, Buenas tardes, mi gente. Tengo la fortuna de tener de compañía hoy a Monique Hoffman. Ella es un broker de planes de salud y de vida y aquí nos está compartiendo muchos pequeños trucos que nosotros podemos aprender, por ejemplo, cuando está usando tu seguro médico y si usted está pagando por un seguro médico y ha recibido algunos servicios, cómo usted puede negociar, que siempre puede llamar y preguntar si tal vez hay alguna manera en que le puedan bajar el bill, la cuenta. Y una cosa muy importante que ella dijo, que cuando uno va a llamar a estos lugares para negociar su seguro, que le bajen el bill, la cuenta, hay que ser educado, cortés, no con malas crianzas, no llamar enojado, ni reclamando ahí todo enojado. Ay, mira este bill que me llegó de $1,200, qué sé yo. No, háganlo pues con mucha dulzura y con mucho amor para que así se ganen a la persona que está escuchando la llamada y los ayuden. Y otra cosa que ella compartió que me impresionó tanto, que cuando uno a veces va al médico, uno llega ahí y uno quiere contarle toda la historia, la novela de uno de salud, ¿verdad que sí? Pues ella nos acaba de compartir un secreto muy importante, que cuando vayamos al médico ya uno vaya ya con una lista de los achaques que uno le quiere comunicar al médico, pero que minimice esa charla, porque cualquier cosita que usted le diga, ay, doctor, que a lo mejor yo creo que tengo esto, pero no estoy segura, mientras usted está contándole al médico todos sus achaques y sus dolemas, ellos están tomando nota. ¿Y qué sucede? Que cuando le van a pasar la cuenta, también eso toma pasar parte de la factura. Y cuando usted llame a su seguro médico para negociar el precio, puede pedir los códigos, si hay un código más o menos igual y que cobren menos. Pues quería compartirle eso que Monique compartió conmigo ahorita mismo porque eso lo encontré extremadamente interesante y creo que a ustedes también le puede servir. Gracias, Monique. I just shared the same thing you just did in Spanish really quick.
Well, that was a very efficient way of doing it.
I wish I would have this talk back in April. It's some money because I didn't know about that. I mean, I'm always very nice in the phone, but if I wouldn't know about, is there a different code that you could apply? Maybe it was this, was that? Because I actually had some of that conversation. I just didn't know the way you were explaining it right now that I could actually ask for a discount. So thank you for that.
You're
That's
welcome.
a new strategy that I learned.
There's honestly so much, like even on the life insurance side, there are so many different ways to use life insurance that the wealthy have been using for a long time. But people, if you don't have access to it, I mean, just the average person has never been educated on ways to use all these tools for their benefit. And that's kind of just what I'm here to do, is just, and I understand I'm probably not like every insurance broker you've ever heard. And that's great, right? I mean, insurance brokers are very helpful, but they go through a lot as well. I mean, I essentially am not getting paid to negotiate people's rates. I'm supposed to just be there to sell the insurance, but my mission was to always help people, which is why I entered into this profession. So it's a little different than a lot of people that I work around, and a lot of people say, you're wasting your time, you're spinning your wheels, like, why are you taking the time? But at the end of the day, I have such a high renewal rate because people, even I have a client whose rates go up like $400. They're about to go up $400 in 1 month. And he's like, but I'm still working with you, so I'm going to pay it. So that's it.
Wow. Well, for those that don't know, Monique is also a chef. So yes, she's really in the overall health industry. Not only does she take care of your health and life insurance, she also likes to make sure that you eat well and healthy. So can you tell us a little bit about that, Monique?
Well, did you know I'm also a nutritionist?
Oh my goodness, no. Well, bring it up. Come on, I'm ready. Come on, tell us more. The more you reveal, the better.
So I'm semi-retired on that front, but I used to work in a hospital as a nutritionist and also getting people to eat around their restrictions. So whether you have high blood pressure or heart disease or anything like that, you know, it's great to heal through food. Let food be thy medicine. It's a real thing. And so that's why I went to culinary school to understand how to make food taste good. And then I went to nutrition school to understand what we really needed to function at our highest levels. And so I kind of blended those together because a lot of nutritionists don't understand how to make good food taste good. And that's why a lot of people shy away from eating healthy because they think it's going to just be horrible. But yeah, I've done that. I've been a chef for 10 years now, and it is my first love, and I still love doing it. I cook on Facebook Live sometimes, as you know, and but really, it doesn't. I don't get to reach enough people that way, so I do what I do now.
I was about to say that. She also does live streaming. You do like cooking live streaming, right?
I
Something like
used to cook every Sunday, and what was funny, I used to just turn on the camera and have people like almost like sitting with me in the kitchen, and I would prep food for the week for 4 hours at a time, and people would just like come in and out. And I stopped doing that because I got busy, and it is a lot of work. I got to entertain you, I got to teach you, I got to do all these, and I got to cook at the same time. So I stopped doing that, but then during the pandemic, I kept getting requests like, "Can you please just cook on camera?" It's so comforting to watch you cook. And the thing is, I'm not a recipe chef, so a lot of people say, "What's that recipe? What's that recipe?" I would rather not give you a recipe. I'd rather teach you some fundamentals that get you in the kitchen and like exploring and learning on your own than
yeah,
giving you a recipe that you're probably just going to file away with all the other recipes from Google.
right.
So,
I'm the same way. I'm not good following recipe. I probably am one of those people that while you were cooking and doing your thing and I was sitting in your kitchen, I'm like photographic memory, almost like a like a bionic
yeah.
woman. And then I try to replicate it, but don't give me a recipe, it's a disaster.
Well, it's funny because I mean one time I was making meatballs and I was on camera doing meatballs, and then I started getting a bunch of messages like, "I've been craving meatballs," and like, "Look, I made my own meatballs," and so thank you for your inspiration, because I understand a lot of people don't know what to make. Yeah, they don't know what to eat, they don't know what to make, they don't know how to eat it, it doesn't taste good. So, I just want to inspire people to get in the kitchen.
But Moni, thank you for that. I mean, this has been great. Honestly, I
Yes.
just learned three really important things today that I'm going to pass on to my relatives, especially those people that are over 65 and over, that they can actually negotiate the bill. Make sure that when you go to the doctor, don't talk too much because it's
Yeah,
going to cost you
stop
money.
talking.
Stop talking. My goodness. And basically, it comes down to really health is you. You're the one that got to take care of your health. And it start with the food that you eat, with the way that you think, the way that you process the life of
Exercise.
exercise. You know what I just read a while ago? Just something I've been meaning to read for a while, but I haven't. You know how you read sometimes you just skim through it, you just glance,
Yeah,
but you really,
everything.
you're not comprehending, you're just going, and this I'll read it later, but
Yeah.
nevertheless, there's some bullets that jumps at you and stick with you, right? So in this article that I was reading, how important it is when we're cooking or we're going to prepare food, that we have to center ourselves and make sure that we're coming from a place that you're not angry, that you're not sad, that you're not taking that energy that is within you, that when you're preparing your food, because that's exactly that what you're going to pass on to the food and then ultimately the people that are going to eat it. What do you think about money? You
Um,
believe in that?
I believe in good energy. I believe I work with a lot of people and have in the past where they're stressed out and they have migraines or headaches or they don't know what's going on. But even if you look good on the outside, but you're stressed on the inside, that stresses out your organs as well. And so when you stress out your organs, you can have a heart attack, you can have stomach issues, GI issues, and you will spend thousands going to the doctor trying to figure it all out. And really, it just started with the fact that you're holding everything in. So if I mean, it does complement what you're saying. So if you are more open-minded and you are lighter in your energy, and you are cooking, you are nourishing yourself, and your body is less stressed out.
Right. So basically what this thing was saying, that also the person that is preparing the food is very important, which alarmed me, because you know how sometimes when you go to restaurants to eat, right? And you can hear sometimes the arguments that are coming from the kitchen.
Yes.
You hear that a lot, especially if you're sitting next by the kitchen door. And I have heard this before, but it was so funny that lately it's like almost like the universe throws me information. This thing comes at me, like they jumps out of the middle of nowhere, and then I pick up the book and I read it when I open an article. So I knew kind of about that. Like if you go to a restaurant, make sure that whatever's coming out of the kitchen is harmony, is you hear laughter, people singing. But if you
That's
hear
not how it works in the kitchen, though.
no, tell me
Oh
what's
my gosh.
that you should hear. But if you hear swearing and screaming, it's like
That's every kitchen, Yvonne. You need to stay home if that's what you want out of a restaurant kitchen. I can tell you that is not how a restaurant
that's
works.
not gonna happen, right? That's interesting. So I'm gonna have to revisit this article and the studies, because I was like, oh, that's true. But for a while, I was like, no, if I don't want to hear the argument. And I did that for a while. Actually, I would go to a restaurant that I knew, and I would hear swearing words and fighting. I'm like, no, let's go someplace else. It's better. I want the energy to be kind of
Well, it's because it's very
happy,
competitive.
joyful.
It's competitive in the kitchen. Even though you're employed there, cooks compete against each other.
No
And
kidding.
that's why you hear yelling and swearing and all of that. And being a female in a commercial kitchen, when I was there, it was a constant battle and struggle for me to gain respect for something that not only did I go to school with, like I was experienced and I was good at it. I am still good at it. But
Very good.
you're constantly having to prove yourself,
Yeah.
and they don't do that pleasantly. There's always going to be yelling and cursing. And so cooks are not the cooks of the past. Cooking now is like a sport, and every time you have an opportunity to serve someone, that is an opportunity to shine and perform. And that's why it's so cutthroat, literally, in the kitchen. So I'm all for educating people and having articles that make you feel good, but I'm also a realist, and that is just not possible.
Now, would you say, is there a gender related? Like, is there more males in these commercial kitchens than females? So it has also to do probably with the temperament and the gender.
Oh yeah, no, I literally sliced my hand, and
Oh,
so I like don't have too much feeling over here, because I had a chef who was just totally convinced that I sucked at cooking. And he's like, "You're worthless, you're horrible," and he's yelling at me, and we're
he's saying these
serving
things
like,
to you? He's saying these things to you?
yes. And so we're in the middle of serving, I don't know, like 300 people. And then he throws, we'll read that in a second. He throws like a 50-pound box of potatoes on my station, and he's like, "Cut these." I'm like, "We're in the middle of dinner service for 300 people. I don't have time to cut your stupid potatoes." But yet, he's yelling at me to do it. So then that's actually when I cut my finger, because I was just like in a hurry, while trying to do all these other things. And so it's just a constant battle to prove yourself. And really, I've been in so many male dominated industries that it doesn't bother me. It only makes me better. It doesn't make it right, but you're never going to get peace and harmony in a kitchen.
Yes. Good for you. I'm pretty much the same way. So it's like you say, toughen you up. Plus, in some other time you're faced with that same situation, you know how to, you know, how to
Yeah.
respond, how to take care of yourself. Well, thank you
Can
for
we
sharing.
see what David was saying?
I was gonna say, I was gonna, because that was, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that when you opened that long message, it was gonna cover part of you. So let's go find that message. It's a long one. Here we go.
That's true on stress. I was a victim of that and had small heart attacks. According to the cardiologist, I was referred to after anomalies. And my EKG was brought up by my doctor, and my blood pressure reached 190 over 110. That's high. stress is huge and how it impacts our health. I learned that the hard way. I ended up quitting that job without having another job lined up. My blood pressure dropped considerably and is manageable now.
Wow.
And that is so true. I mean, um, and you had something physical like a job to attach to your stress, but a lot of people who might have some insecurities or anxieties within themselves about themselves don't have an easy way to, you know, say, I'm just going to stop this job, I'm going to stop going here, I'm going to stop doing this. Like they can't, right? So they think that something is truly wrong. And Yvonne, you can relate to this, but I actually have healed some of my clients that were taking some major, and I'm not a doctor, but I understand nutrition, and they were taking some major anti-anxiety, antidepressants, and I healed them through proper supplements. It was actually a nutritional deficiency that was contributing to their feelings of anxiety and stress, or at least their ability to deal with it.
Yes. And that's what people, they're not aware that we do react. And I always say, hey, if that's something that you will not put in a plan, we shouldn't put in our body. Like when we're taking care of the plant, that's where we start. Our food begins right from the get-go, the seeds, when we're taking care of that plant, and then gets the harvest, the products. And there are things that we don't put in the plants because we know it's going to damage the crops, or the damage the plant, or it's going to, how do you say, stunt its development or whatever is used for us. And the same, we should be with our body. We should be mindful what we consume. If it's not plant-based, everything that is pretty much man-processed, it's not good for us.
Well, I mean, I have my issues with plant-based foods as well, and our food system is not what it used to be.
Oh, God.
So, the same bowl of spinach from 1948, it takes 25 bowls of the same spinach today to equate the nutrients in the one
Wow.
bowl from 1948. So that our soil has like the nutrients in our soil have been depleted. So a lot of people who are plant-based actually are lacking in a lot of nutrients. And they
Interesting.
eat the same thing. They eat the same thing. It drives me crazy. They eat the same thing, and I'm like, your body is meant to diversify what it's getting in. So if you eat the same thing, it's not actually helping you at some point. So yeah, I could go on a soapbox about that conversation.
Moni, this has been so interesting. And I know we're coming to an end. And I want to show a little bit of a clip of video of Moni. It's only like 25 seconds, but you got to see her in her, what I say, in her glory. I say in her glory. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Let me see. When I try to do this with my glasses, without my glasses, and I'm not that great. I have to like put them on, but I won't good with the glasses on.
The
Vanity,
quick,
right?
the quicker
Vanity.
you put them on, the quicker you can take them
I
off.
know. It's like I gotta bend down. It's like I can see. Then I gotta go like this. I gotta get really close. I love that. That was a
Thank
great
you.
clip. It's funny. I thought it was gonna have sound, but it came up. It
Oh,
showed.
you have to press the button to say tap for sound. It does have
Well,
sound.
well, let's do that again.
No, it had sound.
Oh, you know what, silly me? I thought the words, the part that you spoke, they were gonna come up. That's what I thought, that it didn't have sound.
Oh, no.
I'm a newbie on this, Money, so sometimes
No,
I'm
no
surprised
worries. No
myself of
worries.
the stuff that I can do here. But I want to say
You're
thank
still
you.
managing to produce a great show, so it's
Thank
great.
you. Thank you. No, it's all thanks to all of you guys. I see you guys as my mentors. I see how you guys go
Oh,
live and do all this thing. You, Carlos, Anna, the gang. If it weren't for you guys, I wouldn't, even though I'm such a chatterbox, like I explained to you, this was a little daunting to me to talk to somebody and not be able to feel the human energy, like
yeah.
physically present. So you all have helped me break that ice. So I'm growing, I'm getting better. I'm having a lot of fun.
Yeah, you should. It's a good time.
You know what is the part that I don't really enjoy, believe it or not, which is supposed to be the fun part for most of us? The getting having to get ready to put the makeup, the hair.
Yeah.
Oh, that takes time. Oh. So I can look representable because to me it's more important about the chat and getting to know the person so they can showcase whatever gifts and talents they have. So the fact that I have to spend all this time just to put the makeup, the hair is like, oh my God.
I did get ready for you today. I wasn't gonna put makeup on, but I got ready for you.
Oh, thank you. You look, you're always so beautiful.
Oh, thank
Thank
you.
you, thank you for doing that. Appreciate it. You didn't have to. You look beautiful anyway, but I honor that. So thank you.
Yes.
So having settled that to Monique, we're coming to an end of our talk today. I hope you guys enjoyed her talk. And please replay this later. She has a lot of, excuse me, great information about your health insurance. And she's a health insurance, a life insurance broker. Right under the ticket, you're going to find information as to how to get hold of Monique. And having said that, happy Wednesday. I hope to see you guys Sunday and next Wednesday again. Thank you,
Thank
Fanny, for
you.
joining us. Stay in the back, and I will say goodbye.
Bye.
Bye bye.